Well, with the raffle having concluded, and so thank you to all of you who subscribe and support the channel for that, and then for Daily throwing in a little bit extra for that third box. That was really nice of you, sir. So I don't know why people wanna overrule you as stream boss, but hey, I guess that just happens now and again. So anyway, thank you, and I'll communicate with you about those boxes of Ravnica. Oh, GM Vault, thank you also. Oh, I'll be sharing pictures of turkey with you all tomorrow as well. As I am very thankful to all of you who have helped, I've met along the way, and that, I mean, really, this place would not be this place without you. I may be the dude in front of the camera, but... mark is complete. Okay. I may be the dude in front of the camera, but look, you all are the ones who ask questions, and you play with me on Tuesdays, and you throw out awesome ideas and you share stories, and I'm so delighted. Daly says, it is an inadvertent side effect of being nice to you and supporting the stream, so there is little to no resentment. Okay. Oh, GM Vault shot your first turkey this year. It was nice, but scared the hell out of everyone in the frozen food section. Oh, gosh. All right, well, hey, I have 2 guests waiting in the wings. And why don't we go say hi to them? Because as much as, we see Pete and Jeremy's D&D time, and it was asked. Oh, look at that. When you highlight it, it actually, that makes it really pop. Anyway, someone asked earlier, well, what's Pete and Jeremy's D&D time? And why don't we talk to the founders? Not only are they the presidents, but they are their clients themselves. I'm going to drop into our chat here and talk with Pete and Jeremy. I can't really guarantee that they're not an Etten of some kind. We're just going to have to trust that they're not. Hello, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Why, hello there, Master Morgs.
We can absolutely hear you. Hello.
Awesome. All right, let me make sure then that our user volumes are ultimate. All right, there we go. You should be turned up. If any of you out there can't hear either of the boys, then let me know, and I will see what I can do about adjusting this and or that. Not at the same time. That's dangerous, though.
I love Echo Steel in chat saying, Pete Jeremy, the Etten. Oh, no.
You say this, but it's almost 100% going to be an adventure now within the next few weeks. Like,
absolutely.
Parajit, the Etten.
So how you doing, Maddie?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Here I got word that you all are a little low, so let me adjust. There we go. Hopefully that'll help out. It's been a good day. We had an awesome session on well, it's not as fancy sounding as Pete and Jeremy's D&D time, but it's Maddie Morgs Presents, and you know what? We realized as a group that we've been doing that now for 5 months. It's been ongoing, and I'm really excited to have the group that I do who comes by and plays on a weekly basis. But I'll tell you guys, you do this sometimes 4 times a week, thrice on a Friday and sometimes on a Sunday, where you run content with your community.
This is true. We do that. The 3 games on Friday are always a blast. That is the Pete and Jeremy's D&D time, and then every other Sunday we do Delves with Jeremy, which Jeremy runs the bigger one-shots, but it's so much fun. And also, just thanks for having us on, by the way, Maddie.
I'm very happy to have done so. When I first started this at the beginning of this year, I was broadcasting for a while, and it was Macabre Derek or Mr. Plunderloot that first turned me on to you two guys by posting a link to your broadcast on our Discord. because I'm interested in meeting other people who are content creators and who are DMs and are engaged in the hobby. And since then I've been watching. You all have an amazing production, with a very your intro song is an earworm, my friends.
Thank you.
If any of you are familiar with
That's
their
awesome.
intro, you'll find yourself humming it. If you're just like driving around or if you're in the grocery store or something. And so that's why I said it in your show earlier tonight. I fully expect some sort of like Christmas remix with some jingle bells or something in there, please.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to work on that for sure. We did a Halloween remix with some nice organ and theremin in there, but we'll have to start working on a Christmas remix. And in terms of the production, I do the music at the start. Everything else, all of the professionalism of that is all Jeremy. He's the hero.
Well, you have an amazing setup, I'm over here on your website because after so much time, I'm watching other people play and have fun, and I will say you did invite me to play on one of your Sunday games in one of your delves, and I had a blast playing knobs. So if you ever have a need for an elven arcane trickster again, let me know. But I said, you know what? Maybe every once in a while I'd like to dip into the more like the 1 hour or the hour long to 2 hour long one shots.
And I was very excited to hear that.
And just to kind of mix it up, because especially your time slot is really friendly, I think, for a lot of people. And I tend to be the graveyard shift in things. But yeah, I wanted to create a character, and for a while, like I didn't know, I didn't really know how to go about it. And you have a very dedicated group of people, who play, and you cycle them through, and they have several different characters. And I felt, you know what, I want to get involved. And how am I, as just a regular, like a pleb to D&D time here? How would I get involved with your game? And you know what? Very recently, you announced that you had redone your website. And by the way, you also redid your Discord. And it's looking nice. It's looking really nice, guys.
Inspired by yours, of course.
Yeah, we very much took a page out of your book on those emojis there.
Oh, it makes referencing
much more
channels so much
colorful.
easier.
It really does. Scrolling through just a bunch of great text, not as good.
So it's looking really sharp, and I said, you know what, I think this is the time. I've sat on the sidelines long enough. I want to step up because I watched I watched the content you make. You have awesome personalities, and and at first I was a little flustered because I'm like, well, so what do I do? Some people are talking about this or that, or for a while, there was limited sign-up windows, and I might forget to do so. And I'm making excuses because ultimately, it's me. If I want to do it, I should do it. But with all of these changes and all this new stuff that has occurred, this is a great time, I think, for us to kind of cross-mogenate here. And so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the process of getting aboard D&D Time, and then maybe some things of what to expect. And then I wanted to poke around at your content because I would like to generate my level 1 character to start fresh. You're not giving me any favors. I'm not starting at level 5 or 10 or whatever. If I'm going to do this on with some consistency, I don't want to take up too many other people's slots. But every once in a while to dip in and say hi to you all would be fun. But I want to do this straight up, and then have you two here to talk about the channel, any sort of like fun customs, and you even have a lore section up here, so there's a lot of stuff that people can really get into.
The lore section.
The lore section just came out, and it was a lot longer than we thought it was going to be. There's 30 pages of lore about this ridiculous place that we have.
And I'll tell you, as a newcomer, just myself, for many people, they might find that intimidating. And as much as neither of you two guys are intimidating, you're not bullies, you're nothing of that sort. Many people might feel that they're jumping into the deep end if they just get involved when they feel like we're in the middle of something. And so this is another great way, I think, for you to say, look, jump in wherever you want. I mean, it's a pool. You can go super deep with it, or you can just sort of dip your toes in and take the steps with the handrail down. As you please.
And as you're saying that, let me just say that
Mhm.
if you are interested in playing D&D Time, you do not actually need to know any of this 30 pages of lore. Everything that you need to know is always explained to you going in.
Oh yeah, you don't have to know anything at all.
Now, if I was I'm not, but if I was a completely new player, like this is going to be my first session of D&D, is that appropriate for me, or do I need to know anything before I sign up?
Well, here's the thing. If it's your very first time playing Dungeons and Dragons, I don't know if there's even a better option available than to play in D&D Time. It is super rules light. You know, you don't have to know really anything once your character is built. Now, building your character, that's something that you can ask around in our channel. You can come over, of course, to your channel, Maddie. Your main characters all the time. And yeah, if you don't have to know where anything is as long as the character sheet's there, because we can tell you, like, yeah, you click this button on Roll20 and it does your perception check or what have you.
So yes, you will need a Roll20 account, but that's free.
Yes, oh, exactly, absolutely free.
And
any of the paid features.
I'll say this as well. I've used Roll20 for a while, and I don't know a ton about it. Roll20, kind of like what we're talking about with the lore, you can go super deep and detailed on Roll20. You do not have to. It does not have to be a complex interface. So don't let the options on Roll20 dissuade you from getting involved here as well.
I see the D&D timers in chat are trolling a little bit. Guys, there are no lore tests. No one will ever be tested on the lore. Wait,
Actually,
we did
I
technically
will
do
be-
that once as a joke.
I will be testing people on the lore. Don't listen to what Jeremy says.
Yeah, you can earn a little extra credit. Maybe get. I mean, if we can't buy you a pizza as a DM, then how do we get our level 10 spells from you?
That's a fair point.
So, all right, I'm on what I've done in the background, right? So Bob Ross already starts on a canvas that is pre-stretched, double-primed. It's wet, slick, and ready to go. So I've done a little bit of that setup in so much that I went to your Roll20. I posted a link on there as per the instructions on your website. And I already have materials that are open and ready to make a level 1 character, as that's what the instructions were. You just go to sign up to play here. This is all very user friendly. Your Twitch username and your Discord username. And you fill in a couple options, and bada boom, you're pretty much ready to go. And then you said on Thursdays you will contact people that you would like to play on the following Friday, correct?
Yeah, we do announcements on our Discord server. We will kind of at you based on your Discord usernames that you submit there. So that's definitely the easiest way. And if you're not already on our Discord, we can reach out to you via Twitch. But we prefer you jump on the Discord. It's definitely a lot easier to communicate.
Yep.
And that's where we play.
And as you all can see here, it's set up really well. It's very organized. Lots of stuff here for you, including an awesome community to speak with. All right, so I've done all this, and I'd like to know, because D&D Time has been around a while, at least in my reckoning. Can you give me a little blurb? Just, what would be like a paragraph or two summary? Like, when did D&D Time start, or how did it start? Can you talk about the origin? D&D Time year 0 or year 1.
That's a good question. D&D Time started. Me and Jeremy have been playing in the same gaming group and just been friends for a very long time. And we were in the middle of a campaign, and I know that Jeremy had talked about streaming, occasionally back when we were in school together, and I had always wanted to. Do some kind of stream, and I just texted him, "Hey, do you want to do a stream together?" And we had kind of agreed to it, and Jeremy was, at first it was just going to be me, actually, and Jeremy was helping me set my stuff up. Mm-hmm. And Jeremy made me this image that was absolutely delightful. It was, I didn't have a name for the show yet, and at one point we were just kind of brainstorming stuff. I jokingly said, "It's Pete's D&D time," and he made me this horrible Comic Sans photoshopped image. Jeremy, can you describe that?
It's just a picture of Pete has these very iconic wooden dice that are terribly balanced. They're just we call them the drama dice because they always spin around like on corners before they finally fall. And it was just a picture of these dumb dice with the words Pete's D&D Time and like different letters are capitalized, Comic Sans, and then I just took typed a big yellow 20 and stuck it over where the 6 would show up on the dice. It was beautiful.
And that is now our logo. I think our official logo. It looks a lot cleaner than that original one did.
Then, if any of you here are subscribers to D&D Time, you are welcome to spam their logo, rolling a 20 on a D6 there.
But then basically we just kind of went from there. Jeremy decided we were going to do it together. I wrote the theme song. The theme song was one of the first things of production done, and the rest was history, you know?
Absolutely.
And how long ago was this? How long have you been you been producing this content?
Oh geez.
Year and
we
half?
passed episode 70 a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's been a while now. We started in like I think May of 2017.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah.
Jeez, holy moly.
Yeah,
2016,
that's
that
wild.
feels like so long ago.
Wait, no, it couldn't have been. There's no. Yeah. Oh God, that's very long.
And
No,
y'all
it was
haven't looked back.
2017. It was 2017.
It's like what you were saying earlier, Matty. You know, you've been playing this thing for 5 months. Holy moly, it's already been almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Now when you look back, it's a milestone, and you can start measuring. Not only your own DM careers here, just online, let alone the things that you do privately, but even different life events that occur. I mean, if either you guys have moved or other things have happened, you ended up switching up a job, or you adopted a cat or something like that. I mean, it really causes you to look back years along this timeline of stories and friends and everything, and it's just, there's something so satisfying about that. There
absolutely is.
For sure.
I look back with love in my heart at everything we've done for D&D Time, especially the flops, because when you do so many adventures, not everyone is perfect. But we've been doing pretty good lately. I mean, I say lately.
If you don't cringe at something you said or did, or you're like, wow, that was a terrible session, or even if you have like a campaign idea that lasted for a while, and then you just look back and like, that wasn't my best campaign. We tried, but oof, as the modern youth say, oof.
Oof, indeed.
So I appreciate the history here. I'm back on your page. So I've signed up to play. I'm heading over to the rules, and you do have the games you do run. They are more of a lighthearted, and I don't say this with any sort of insult. In fact, this is kind of a compliment. This is kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon D&D adventure.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of wit. It's not that fights don't happen or that characters can't get injured or even die. You've had character deaths on your stream, haven't you?
Quite a few.
Let me check our current kill count.
Yes,
I think you're at 15 for 2018, and I'm at 13.
Oh, those are going to reset soon. And also, to be fair, though, Jeremy has gotten that.
Oh, 13. No, we both have 15.
Oh, yeah, Jeremy's 15 is in half as many adventures, though.
I'm the evil dungeon master, apparently.
So things can happen. So it's not just all like bubblegum and rainbows and babies and everything is hunky dory all the time. There are events that occur in the world. In fact, your Halloween event, the carnival of souls, was it?
Yes.
That was intense. I mean, you were running some pretty. I mean, you didn't make it over the top intense, but it had a solid story. It still got into spooky stuff. Characters were sacrificing themselves in order to complete the story you put out there. And in your hour-long Friday games, there's a lot of puns and humor, and I will do my best to tell puns if I can. But yeah, so don't take it as a this is baby's first D&D game and everything is gaga goo goo. Things still happen and you should still be keen about it. But that said, also it's not this isn't a PvP environment, and I presume people aren't signing up so that they can sort of flex their E muscles. I'll put it that way. Their E muscles. And are like, yeah, I have maximum DPR with these, super wombo combo Nova round,
I would say that that's not the kind of game we run. We have a few kind of rules restrictions in place. We don't allow multi-classing. We don't allow feats to prevent some of that kind of stuff and to keep things on a very, casual level. We've really tried to strive to keep ourselves really friendly to beginner players because... Yeah, go ahead, Jeremy.
One of the problems that we have when there's too much optimization in a game like this, right, an environment like this, it can, we don't want new players to feel like they're doing something wrong because they don't have an optimized character.
Yeah.
So we definitely keep much to the very basics in the books. We don't use many of the optional rules like you mentioned, multi-classing or feats. It's all just the core basic rules, basically. They're the free basic rules Wizards has on their website, and that is all that you need to play in D&D Time. And heck, you don't even really need those. We can help you through most of that.
Yeah, for sure.
And obviously there's some decorum, some personal decorum that the players have. That should be common sense to us all about being respectful to each other, you have a character that plays named Selkris, who is a drow, and drow don't always have the best reputation, and yet Selkris, I think to some is a very adorable character, despite her calling people peons, because one day she will be queen, and it's a part of her personality, but it doesn't translate over into player hostility. It's character, it is, and it's building, and it's not bullying or bad behavior. It's a part of who that character is.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And if I could just shout out Stelcrest for a second, she does an amazing job of finding that balance of playing the character that she wants to and being this kind of evil character and still being very respectful towards the other people that play in the game.
Completely agree.
She
And now,
crushes it.
Maddie, you mentioned characters dying. There have been plenty of characters that have died in D&D Time. But one of the great things about the game is it's okay if your character dies. The only consequence for it in our show is, well, you're out of the rest of that adventure. At the end of the adventure, your character gets resurrected by Bartholomew, which we'll talk about Bartholomew, I assume, at some point. But
Yes.
and you're back in. So, even when things don't go your way, it's always a temporary thing for us. We're, all about just having fun, having a good time. And, we don't let, a character, an unfortunate couple of rolls get in the way of that.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So let's see. Characters start at level 1, and so we're going to be doing that tonight. And you use the standard array. Well, hey, that's bread and butter to me. I love using standard array for our randomly generated characters. When leveling up, you must use the average, so that's half plus 1, correct?
Yep. Half plus 1, or half rounded up. But yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. And the sources you allow: background, class, race, subclass, and spells. Free basic rules, player's handbook, monster manual, elemental evil. Okay, so this is almost everything printed, with the exception of the Ravnica book, which actually you were reviewing over last Sunday.
Yep.
Yes. We do not allow plane shift, and we do not allow Ravnica.
Or
I'm sorry, we're allowing Ravnica, but not the backgrounds, but we haven't posted that yet.
Okay. And Unearthed Arcana is not in there as well. Feats and multi-classing, that's to make it simple for open for new players as well, and I can respect that.
Exactly. We like versatility for people who've been playing a lot, but we don't want to confine people. We don't want to confine the people who have played a lot of stuff already. So that's why there's so many options in terms of basically everything that's published you can use.
Summoning of any kind is restricted, and I understand why. So you may only have one summoned creature, and that's because, frankly, if you summon 6 pixies onto the board, and each of them are casting different spells, and you're juggling your polymorphs and sleeps and all that, it can create a negative play environment. So I'm glad you're open-minded to summoners, and by keeping it with that limitation.
Yeah, and there's also just when we're trying to run, these really tight 1-hour games, summoning just takes a very long time as well.
Starting equipment, starting armor. We start with 0 Bartholomew bucks, and so we'll get to Bartholomew and his shop and his not so cryptocurrency, and a single trinket.
Very good.
You have a level up chart here. I'm curious, because this has been going on for a while, and you do have some very dedicated players. Do you have anyone in the legend tier?
We have players at level 9.
Oh.
We're very excited because when we're transitioning from level to level to get to story to fable to myth, moving from 3 to 4 and 6 to 7, there have been fabled tier boss battles and then myth tier boss battles where the players have to overcome some really powerful enemy to move up to like the next class of adventurer. And we have, like, for those fable ones, we have a wheel for it. There's a myth tier boss battle this Friday, and on those ones we make the whole day an event out of it. But we have not done a legend tier boss battle yet, and we're very excited for it.
Ooh, yeah. Make sure you put some announcements out now, and I'll help support that. I'd love to see that kind of a level transition now into, you're in the big leagues of D&D time at that point.
Yeah, we like that we kind of broke it up into these 3 different categories too, because it keeps 2 powerful players from being, 2 high-level characters from being grouped with 2 low-level characters. So everyone's on a pretty similar playing field during games. But yeah, the boss battles are always intense. I'm very excited about what the future holds.
Me as well.
Okay, and there's a note about character death, and you were talking about boss battles. So, as far as character creation, then, so what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a character. And then, if I'm just, I'm rando newcomer to D&D, you would, I presume that you'd send a message to me saying we've accepted your application on our forum or something along those lines. And then I could develop my character and submit it to you all through Roll20, or I'm going to be doing it on a PDF here tonight. But how would I get my character into D&D Time?
Well, normally what we would do is you would make some kind of post in our Roll20 thing, and then we would send you an invite, and then you'd be entered into the lobby, and then you would be automatically given a character sheet once you join the lobby. Am I correct about that, Jeremy?
Yeah, so we have some automation set up that you don't normally, when you join a Roll20 lobby, you'd have to wait for someone to come on and manually give you a character sheet. This one, as soon as you're accepted in, you automatically get one, and then you can either talk to people on the Discord server if you need help making a character, or if you have any questions. Or, if you feel comfortable, you can make yourself. That works too. We have plenty of people who, this ain't their first rodeo. They've been playing since 2nd edition, and, they've played every module released to date for 5e, and they don't need my help. But there are plenty of other people that, this is their first time playing. And we super encourage those people to shoot us a message, right? Let us know on Discord when they join in. And yeah, there are always tons of people around. So if you just type in the chat, hey, I'm looking for help with my building a character, I'm not super sure what to do. You can always ask, and people are willing to jump in. I'm willing to jump in. Pete's willing to jump in. Tons of our community members are really nice.
And thank you for bringing that up, because with respects to joining communities or about uploading content and all that, a lot of that some people might feel intimidated, again, if they're new to D&D, let alone to a virtual tabletop or a playing community. The fact that you have some of this stuff automated, and that it can help, and there are people who are willing to help get your character concept into the world of D&D Time. I really hope that for those of you out there who are watching and would like to make a character yourself and get involved with this world and what they do, because look, every week there's 12 people that they're cycling through a D&D adventure. If you're looking to play, these gentlemen are offering an excellent opportunity for you.
We'll get you in.
And yeah, just don't be intimidated by any of this, because it is a very open and welcoming community.
I want to mention something
Yeah,
that
go
you
ahead.
just said, Maddie, because you had mentioned, right, if you want to make your character fit into the land of D&D time. Whoa, you don't have to do that. The land of D&D time conforms to you. Literally, the way we play it, everything is pretty much good. Our only rules, we have a little bit of information in our actual Roll20 lobby. It's a nice little handout. But the only real rule for character creation in terms of what lore you want to create or what background for your character is do not create something that prevents other people from making their own new awesome stuff. You can create a huge empire, right? My character is the son or the daughter of the emperor who has ruled for 10,000 years. You can totally create that and create that story for your character. But you can't say the only empire that exists in the world, right? You can't take it to that step.
Or our empire killed the last of the fire genasi, because I think there's a particular character in that would be defying that by his existence, but
precisely.
Yeah, so yeah, none of that would be exclusive, and I'm glad that you did correct me in that. Not that I was making a presumption or I was anything, but it's very good that you made that point, because I even just sort of in a non-confrontational way presented it the way I did, and I'm happy that you caught that and you threw that out there, that it's open-ended. And as Vasil said, in just like we try and do in our channel here, keep it PG-13. Look, F-bombs or some dramatic stuff happens, when you're in the middle of a fight and, maybe you get a bad roll and suddenly, it's like Christmas Story when they're on the side of the road trying to change a tire. And you know what? You don't say fudge. Something else comes out. But for the movie, we'll just say that you went fudge.
I mean, Jeremy and I are certainly not immune to dropping that one every once in a while.
But I mean, in terms of that, or if I'm describing, if we're battling orcs, you probably don't want me to get into the internal biology of orcs as I'm slicing them open, with rampant glee and sort of gore spattering the audience here.
Just keep it reasonable.
Then
pretty much, yeah.
I think I'm good then for the basics. And I would like to start the character creation while I still have both of you, because if you have to go, I know it might be late, because it's here in Eastern time. It's 11 after midnight. And so I do want to explore Bartholomew in the shop, but let's make the character first. And I'll tell you what, maybe we can revisit Bartholomew and such in a session after I've played this character a couple times, maybe earn some levels, earn some bucks, and then we can have another kind of follow-up where you can take me through the process of what's available, how do I interact with this this crazy old man who everyone loves or loves to hate, or simultaneously does both some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's like some Schadenfreude. He's like some Schadenfreude wizard or something. So if you're fine with that, I'd like to go through our character generation process.
Let's start it.
And if you can drop in lore if you want, or you can talk about, this is where this came from, because there's a couple things about character creation that I will modify for this purpose. Now, normally what we do on the Matty Morg's channel is we stick to the core 3 books. I mean, Monster Manual doesn't really come up that often, so it's more the PHB and the DMG. But a couple things that I will have to amend here. When I roll for a female or a male, I'll just go 50-50, since multi-class is not allowed. And then for the races, you do offer many races, and you know what? There's people who play all kinds. But I did see on your website there are 3 races that you created that are special to D&D Time. And I downloaded, because they are downloadable. You offered them almost like an Unearthed Arcana format. You offered an undead race, which actually is a sub-race of what you were in life. A Floran race, and a bunny folk race. And so what I would like to do when I'm going through this, actually I'll ask you real quick to give a little blurb on each of them, but I will limit my racial choices to one of the 3 races that exist in D&D Time. That way I'm making a character, not that I have to, and I want to make sure that I'm conscientious of that. If I wanted to play a Fire Genasi, then I can. If I wanted to play a Yuan-Ti Pureblood, or a Kobold, or a Furbolg, I can. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We got a few furbolgs.
Yeah, a shockingly high number of furbolgs.
Yeah. Disproportionately large.
This is a limitation I'm placing on myself, not that it is imposed on me. And I'm not even going to call it a limitation, because you two obviously put in work and discretion and balancing for you to authorize this content in your realm. But I will be choosing from one of those 3, and then from there, it'll be pretty straightforward. So real quick then, while you're here, can you give me, sell me on this? I'm this new player. I want one or both of you to tell me, what's the pitch for undead? Slap the roof twice and say, this baby right here, you could do something.
Jeremy, I mean, undead are very much your baby. Would you like to start on this one?
I mean, sure, yeah. So, unlike the other 2 races, the Floran and the Bunny Folk, were created on D&D Time Brews, a show we do on Sundays where we homebrewed stuff with our community. But Undead, I actually made myself off stream. And this is a work of passion I loved. And basically, I can't sell you on it, because I can't tell you that you want to play a character whose backstory is, I died. If that's the kind of character you want to play and you're interested in exploring that lore and maybe how you died and how that changed you, right? Are you a very grim, dark kind of creature that I have returned to life, but I am a hollow shell of what I once was? Or are you bright and cheery? Maybe you're that kind of undead that in your unlife, you've kind of lost your sense of like, what is dark, right? What is death? That didn't kill me, so everything's great.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a very cheery character. But, I mean, mechanically, it's cool. It's got some stuff where when you would normally go down from an attack, you don't. It's got all of the cool little features that the other core races in the player's handbook have. So if you want to play an undead dragonborn, you can still have your cool breath weapon. But, there's the lore that your character's undead. Yeah, I mean, the main thing I feel about the undead, the main appeal is if you want to play with that kind of story, that kind of history, and, see how that affects how you want to roleplay your character, that's awesome. Actually, I just want to point out Vasil Zeju in the chat was playing an undead character in D&D Time, and I love his character because it's all about, he's created this deity called the Crypt Keeper, who is a lich god, and the whole shtick is, not all undead are evil, right? They're not inherently evil beings.
Yeah, we're undead, not unpeople.
Yeah. Exactly, right? Plenty of undead still have souls. And to be like a necromancer and control those undead, that's a horrible thing, right? It's like slavery. And I think that's a really cool character concept to have created and to embrace as an undead character.
Ooh,
but you can do whatever you want.
That's
right?
a strong pitch.
And there's one last small selling point for undead.
Sure.
Jeremy added in these undead quirks that are absolutely delightful.
Oh,
you can
yes.
roll for a quirk if you want. A couple of them here to just give you a couple tastes. Whenever you meet someone, you can't help but consider how tasty their brains might be. Another good one I really like. Your body is home to a colony of worms, rats, or other scavenging creatures who you consider your dearest friends. Very fun.
Yeah. Oh, that ramps up. I mean, look, as an urchin, you get a pet mouse. I mean, you're getting.
Maybe your mouse lives in you, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? Competing with that then might be kind of maybe an opposite. Here we have the Florans, which are a plant-based race. So like they're very much about life and living, and they're a life force that have manifested in several ways. Can one or both of you guys give me a pitch on the Florans?
Do you want me to start these off, Peter? Oh, it sounds like you got it.
I was just gonna take it away.
Have that.
The Florans are really cool. One of the things that I really like about this, yeah, that's it. That's the end of my pitch. They're really cool. No, one of the things I really liked about the Florans is, there's a lot of subclasses here, and they're very much defined by their
Oh,
subclasses.
yeah.
So you can play. You're correct. Sub-races indeed.
Lumberling, fungal, blossomer, and
yes,
anemone.
The anemone. So each of these sub-races completely changes what it means to be this race, because we wanted them to represent all sorts of components of plant life and fungal life as well, and naturally in the case of the fungal floran. So you can, any plant that you can imagine, you can kind of be a floran of that thing. You can be the lumberling, which are like these big sort of tree-like entities that live for hundreds of years. The age, unlike something that you wouldn't see on a lot of races, usually age is universal for all of these races, but the ages rather reflect more the lifespan of the creatures that they are most similar to.
Okay.
Where lumberlings live for a very long time, and then eventually take root and just become part of the earth as trees in the ground. And each of them has kind of a unique play style, but always kind of tying back in, if you're interested in playing a character with a strong connection to nature, always kind of tying back in with these kind of core abilities of you can grow your own body. Essentially, we gave them the druid craft cantrip, but you're allowed to use that druid craft cantrip to grow things that would be kind of natural to your form, is the intention. So if you're say a lumberling apple tree, you can kind of grow apples off of your head and off of your body, or whatever it is that's kind of native to you. So there's a lot of variety. As the Floran can be as diverse in the way that you want to kind of approach them as the diversity of plant life in the world.
In looking this over, I've hinted on the channel that I've had kind of a super secret project going on the side, and all I can tell you is there's some great minds that think alike when looking over some of these options. So
Indeed.
that's actually very interesting, because I did not out of laziness, I did not take a look at these until I could have you guys on here, to talk about. I want you to highlight some things as if this was my first time, because it is, and it's very intriguing, and I'm really digging it. Okay, then last up we have bunny folk, and you have a couple bunny folk that play. I know there's a fungal that plays regularly. It's Penny, isn't it?
Yes.
And you have a couple bunny folk, I think, that are regulars on D&D Time as well.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
We have two very regular bunny folk, and then a couple of other folks who also have played bunny folk from time to time.
Very popular.
Yeah, well, it's funny. That's why we made them. We weren't going to do a homebrew races at first, but someone, I think, maybe jokingly, maybe seriously, asked for bunny folk, and we were like, okay, sure.
People were just like really into it. People were like, oh yeah, I really want to play as a bunny folk.
Oh, it's Little Booper. Because I see bunny folk names. There's Little Snooper, and that reminded me. Little Booper is the one I remember. I might remember the second one. That's just the first one that came to mind.
Runefang,
Runefang?
Bloodlord Kelthos.
Oh god.
That's a very dark name for a bunny folk, but there are some good ones. I
Bunny
really like
folk
the bunny
are
folk.
oh, they're a small race.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Good. Were any of the fungals small? Did you have like dimorphism or something in that, or?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Because we kind of, with the fungals, we went under the impression that you could, or with the fungals, with the floran, we kind of went with the intention that, if you want to describe yourself as smaller, that's fine.
Okay.
But we just give it one mechanical.
Indeed.
And so what kind of role do the bunny folk play in D&D Time?
You mean in the world, or?
Or yeah, well, yeah. So like in the world, because you're talking about with the undead, these are things that you might be able to explore, or with, these are the concepts that you might bring in if you're going to play a Floran. If I want to look at a bunny folk and say, you know what, I'm going to pilot this type of a character, what in your opinions would be a selling point on being a bunny folk? Do what do they do in the world, or what are some thoughts?
Well, in terms of kind of the personality that we've seen, both in terms of like, you know, what we wrote down for the lore of them, but also the way people have been playing them, and this race is very much defined by the individuals that have chosen to kind of take them up and bring them out into the world. They live very fast and free. You know, it's kind of throw yourself forward into life and see where it takes you.
Okay.
And from a more mechanical standpoint, the thing that I really love on them is their bunny hop, which lets you do really big jumps. It's kind of like a very heavily nerfed Aarakocra fly that lets, you know, they have something that is, in a lot of cases, as useful as flying is, although not perfectly naturally, because flying is incredibly powerful. But, you know, they also have some more things to define them in their race, because it's not, you know, like the Aarakocra can only have flying because that ability is so powerful. They get to have some more abilities. But the bunny hop is very fun. You can jump up to 30 feet. Your full movement can be a jump.
I mean, for me... Oh, go ahead.
They have 30 feet of normal movement even as a small race.
Yes, they're very quick, very agile.
Okay, I can dig it. I'm sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you. What were you going to bring up?
Oh, no, it's all good. I was just going to say, for me, I look at, like, the kind of aesthetic of bunny folk, and, you know, you can play whatever you want, but if you want to play a chaotic, evil bunny folk who works in a city and is a gritty blacksmith that maybe hammers with their feet or something, which actually that sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'd play that character.
Well, the way we kind of defined it, we gave them more of a kind of forest gnomey feel, right? Somewhat secretive, skittish, like rabbits, like actual rabbits. And I think the quote at the very beginning under Bunny Folk, I made up a quote for a fictitious explorer of the land of D&D time. And the last sentence, "In no other peoples have I witnessed such a mercurial combination of curiosity, recklessness, and abject terror of death." And a lot of the players have really, I know Little Booper in particular, really embraced that just horror of specifically large predators in a couple of adventures. So he's gotten pretty boisterous now in his success.
Huh. I like that, and you know what? That final sentence I think does really express a lot. And by the way, this is for any of you watching. If you're new also to D&D, you know, read the flavor text that's provided for you in whatever supplement you're reading, or even in the player's handbook. Your DM might run something a little differently, but the notes that are included, and this is a very good example of very solidly made homebrew content. The notes are going to really help give you ideas. You know, the names. What is in a name? Oh, there's a ton of culture and history that could be wrapped up in a name. You know, with how it sounds. You know, are you named after particular things around you, or there's just all kinds of little minutia you can pull from just the fluff of a race or a class or something along those lines. All right.
Also, for saying it's solidly built homebrew content, thank you, Maddie.
You guys, you know, especially your item creation, where you take this raw idea and you still try and preserve the spirit of it, but you make sure that you're putting it through both, you know, a math filter and also a gut feeling filter, because really a lot of content needs to pass both, not just be pure math or pure gut feeling. In order to really work. And then, of course, it's in the context of the world in which you're running. And you two as DMs, ultimately, you know, what will be absolutely broken in someone else's campaign can be bread and butter standard operating procedure in yours, because your world has adapted to it. And so it's actually not a big thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, you really need to know, like, it's not just the mechanics, not just the math. Because if you look at the math, the Ranger is completely on par with every other class in terms of its DPS. But it's not just about DPS. There's other. I don't mean to tangent, pull it off on the Ranger now. But
and that's before people said, oh, universally this is the worst class in D&D. It's still crazy. Balanced out. The
Ranger's actually fine in D&D time. Even the Beastmaster's pretty dang good, if I say so myself.
I've never had a problem with the Ranger myself. Like, I don't mind the Ranger. I know it's, that's a whole topic we could go into, talking about the Ranger.
Hey, if you want to prompt also for another discussion on Wednesday, you're talking about things like good berries, or even in my own homebrew world that I've been running, my own campaign, 12, 13 years now. I don't have extra planes. There's no extra planes, and so there are spells that are just, outside the possibility of ever using, and pocket dimensions don't exist, and things like create food and water. Those spells are very heavily restricted if they exist at all, and so that could be a good topic to talk about too. What do you do if you want to forbid certain spells for flavor or mechanics? And anyway, that's a side note too. But if you're ever looking for some suggestions,
for sure.
So why don't we crack into it? You guys gave me some really good prompts here, and I think it's time to roll the dice and see the character that was meant to exist in D&D time, and then we will get into that character, since so clearly this is the one that was chosen. Going up to my roll guide here, I'm just going to roll. I guess we'll just do a percentile, and it'll be 1 to 50, and then 51 to 100. We'll determine if my character is female or male. Let's roll percentile. 9.
All right.
We have a female character who is going to be. I'll roll a D6. 1 and 2 will be undead. 3 and 4 will be Floran. 5 and 6 will be a bunny folk.
It's a big decision point right here.
Here we go. 4. All right, so apparently I'm playing a Floran.
Be a Floran.
Excellent.
Do you roll for sub-race as well?
Yes, I do. And there were 4 different sub-races. So looking at the
4.
order, I have a Nemenin, that'll be a 1. And then we have a Blossomer, which will be a 2. Fungal will be a 3. And a Lumberling will be a 4. So I'm going to take the D4 and roll it. 2. All right, so I am going to... Whoop, that's bunny folk. There we go. So I am going to be a Blossomer. All right.
You're a flower. I do too.
I'm a Blossomer Floran. Alrighty. Next up is the alignment. Now, I forget offhand. You forbid evil alignments, correct?
No.
No.
Yes, no?
Actually, no. We actually have a very high percentage of characters that play evil.
Okay.
Most of our characters.
Yeah, most of our high-level characters are actually evil. The way that we do evil alignments is if you can play a character that's evil and still work with the party towards goals, that is totally fine.
Okay. Then in that case, all options are on the table. I'm going to roll 2 percentiles, and we're going to find out on which axis each of them are going to fall. 41 and 9. That's going to bring us, so we're going to be lawful good.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now, since we're not evil, I'm not going to worry about, in case we roll Paladin, to be an Oathbreaker, or to have the death domain if we roll Cleric. These are my guidelines, not yours. I want to make sure for anyone watching that I'm going by my roll guide in the context of Pete and Jeremy's considerations for their world. Level.
I'm secretly hoping you roll a
level
druid.
1. So.
I'm secretly hoping you roll a druid so we can throw trash druid.
Yes, I saw that you do have a special druid. I'm not going to worry about any stat bumps or feats. Number 1, because I'm only level 1, but also because multi-classing and feats are not allowed. All right, so now I'm going to roll a D13, and we're going to figure out which background out of the player's handbook my character will be. And if any of you are new to watching my channel and how we do this, I roll background first because your background adds so much to your character. Your character sits on a stool, and a stool needs at least 3 legs to be stable. Race, class, and background. And so I like figuring out the background first because your background is who you were before you were an adventurer. In some capacity. These are life-changing events. They're hobbies. They're careers. They're things that have shaped you that eventually led to you pursuing your class and whatever is going to be on the horizon before you. So I'm going to generate a 13-sided die and roll it. 11. Oh, I was a sailor or a pirate.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Now, for a
Exciting.
background feature, that means we'll have either ship's passage or bad reputation. I'm going to list both of those out because it's possible to be lawful good and have a bad reputation. It just depends on.
Sounds like an interesting story to me.
On what's the circle. If you're working for the government as a privateer, you're a commissioned pirate, and you roll up to Tortuga, you're going to be the bad guy. All right, so for a sailor or a pirate, there's really no origin. Some backgrounds, it'll be like, well, there's 20 different guilds that you could be a part of. There's, for a hermit, there's 8 different origins of what led to you secluding yourself away from being one thing or the other. Actually, real quick on this note, if I did choose hermit, how would you all take my background feature into consideration, since that is supposed to be some sort of big revelation that I'm supposed to be chasing throughout the course of a campaign or something along those lines?
Since we don't do that in kind of a traditional way, we don't interact with characters' backstories just because there's so much chaos and everything's one. What we've done in the past for players that have that backstory is we allow them to kind of just decide what that is.
Okay.
And then kind of let their understanding of whatever that big revelation is kind of inform their character choices rather than being a thing that they can work towards. And then, very kind of farther down the road, players' backstories tend to come out more. So we let players kind of develop those things on their own.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's not that we disallow interaction with backstory. It's just
Yes.
because we do run very short games. They're only about an hour to an hour and a half on average. There's not a lot of time to delve super hard into someone's backstory. But if you have a background features, say in this case sailor, right, and you're in an adventure that has to do with the ocean and ships and all that, you can absolutely say, hey, can I use my thing?
Okay.
Right? Or maybe you can use it in more abstract ways. You can say, well, I'm a sailor. And Pete and I might say, oh, well, because you're a sailor, this other stuff, these people might recognize you. Even if that's not what your background feature says, right? We try to engage that stuff as much as players want to put it forward.
And for new players, I think it is important for you to understand your background is a bridge spanning mechanics like crunch and fluff or storytelling. It straddles that, and I'm glad that you said that. So if you are a new player and you have a character concept, it's really going to be up to you to assert yourself through your character into D&D Time, and then you are going to take that and see what you can run with it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good
Pete
way
and I
to
are always one to help jump in on that stuff.
While we were talking, I rolled 2d8 and for my personality traits, and I rolled 3d6 for my ideal bond and flaw. For any of you watching, I don't have that chapter open yet because we're just looking for placeholders. Once we finish the random number generation, then we'll go through, we've cast the dice, and now let's read what's in the augury dish. And, we'll make this character manifest in front of us here. Now we're going to come to class, and apparently this is where Vasil was saying, pray for trash, druid, everyone. So, if any of you want to do any sort of bless RNG, or, if you want to spam the D&D Time, they're loaded dice here. That's one of my favorite Munchkin cards. They're loaded dice.
The Lord of Chaos.
We'll see if I get druid. I'm gonna roll a 12-sided die, which is this nice big golden button right up here. And if this comes up as druid, I mean, yeah, you allow the other circles, but I think for flavor, especially with how I was taking the race choices, I would just become a trash druid. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Farfold, may the cloud bless your rolls. May the Lich Lord bless your roll. Oh my, I'm getting.
I see the cloud giving a little more dice love though.
Yeah. Oh, and Saloon. Saloon will bless also. All right.
Saloon blessed first, or Salune.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Salune.
Without the accent.
let's hit the golden button and find out what happens, huh? And 10. 10 is a sorcerer.
Ooh.
Exciting
Okay.
nonetheless.
So that said, is there any are there any custom notes for sorcerers? Maybe not a soul or whatever, but anything in particular to bring up regarding that?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
Nope. We try and keep as much as we can playable by the core rules. Just, we don't want to be house ruling or home brewing anything out or into the core mechanic.
Okay.
We might add some, additional stuff like the trash steward and the racer, but it should be straight and narrow, normal old sorcerer.
Then I will re-roll the d12, and if I get an odd, I will be of the Draconic Bloodline, and if I get an even, it'll be a wild magic sorcerer. Odds. I will be a Draconic, I guess, sapline? A Draconic sapline Blossomer Floran.
That's a very interesting combo right there. I'm excited to start building this.
Do you have dragon scales?
Well, every rose has a thorn, does it not?
Ooh, it does.
Ooh.
That'll be interesting. I'm sure I could. I'm sure I could flavor that. Now, for I have some other things for like randomly determining height, weight, and whatnot. Was that in let's see, Blossomer, or was that under Floran's?
We don't have the.
Okay.
Oh, actually, we do a little bit, not a lot.
What base race would you think that a Blossomer Floran then would fall under here? Human size, Dragonborn. What can I go off of?
Well, you can really go from whatever you want. Our size range is we state 4 to 6 feet and about 100 pounds. So I mean, I don't know, something between 4 to 6. Maybe that sounds like a human, probably.
Yeah, we'll roll with human.
Maybe a little light for a human, but.
All right, so then we're gonna start at 4 feet 8 inches, and then we're gonna add 2d10 inches to our height. So we're gonna add 12. All right, so we are 5'8". We're like a big old sunflower here. 5'8". And now we're going to take that 12 that we rolled, and we're gonna multiply it by 2d4 by 3. So we're adding 36 pounds to our base weight of 110. So we are 146 pounds, 5'8". And then the age range, let's see, Blossomers reach adulthood by 10 and can live up to 20 years. Okay, then what I will do, I will roll a percentile and I will find out where in my life cycle my character is. And this is something maybe a lot of us, even experienced players, we may overlook, as we tend to make characters, that are maybe more in their youth. If this character we rolled to be 10 years old, and the same exact character we rolled to be 19 years old, that can change. Just that one number regarding age can change so much about the way you express your character and the things that your character has done or seen. So let's see where in the life cycle this character is, and we're gonna stick with it. You know what? If I come up with a 19-year-old, flower, then so be it. If he's looking at his last adventures, he's sailing to to reach the sun. That's been his goal. He's grown towards the sun all his life, and that's maybe why he sails, is for that distant horizon to someday catch up with it. Who knows? It could be his last. Any adventure could be his last. But we're gonna leave that open to us, because, when I say us, it's you two, as in you TWO, but all of you TOO. Open yourself up to that. Don't be afraid of having a child prodigy character, or someone who it probably isn't gonna live. If you survive the campaign, that might be it. That might be your tale. And so how are you choosing to have this character go out of the world? Anyway, let's roll a percentile.
Well, before you do that, Matty, I don't mean to interrupt.
Nope, go ahead.
One of the things I love about the Blossom specifically, we added some neat little stuff with them because we figured it might be fun to make these guys a little unique. One of the things is, if they die naturally, they actually regrow, they're reborn. kind of like perennial flowers. And they retain little fragments of their past personality. So it's just a fun little note. You might be old, but your character, right? It doesn't matter if he's 19 and he's going to die in a year because they only live to about 20. Because coming back, you might want to fill out, right, his life with experiences.
Okay.
Before, you know, to maybe remember in his next life or something.
Well,
I think that'd be neat. Well, let's see what you get. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I hit it right as you said hold up, so I switched out. It looks like I rolled a 79, which puts me right on the cusp of being middle-aged. So I probably have like a pedal, like, you know, like a pedal comb over or something going on here.
Just a little wilty, but not too bad.
Yeah, you know, I have a little arch to the back here. So middle-aged is really, I mean, between 10 and 20, this is really going to put me at like 5 or so, like 15 or 16 maybe, or something around there. So what I'll do is I'll just roll, I'll roll a D3, and I'll either be 14, 15, or 16, and we'll go from there. 1. All right, so apparently I'm 14 years old in my middle age. I get to say, you whippersnappers, you wouldn't even believe what happened 2 summers ago. Middle-aged.
She.
Oh, I'm sorry, she, yes. 14 years. And bada boom, that is those are the basics. We have produced all of our random numbers to be generated. So I'm going to collapse this, and I kind of tongue-in-cheek, I don't know if you guys have been in here when I've done this. You know, I say, class, come on, open your player handbooks now, chapter 4, page 121, personality and background. Come on now, everyone. We're going to go to Sailor. Sailor. It's all listed alphabetically here, and so we're on page 139 in chapter 4. This is going to give us skill proficiencies in athletics and in perception. It is going to give us a tool proficiency of navigators tools and vehicles water. Equipment.
Seafair and Floran.
A belaying pin, or effectively a club. 50 feet of silk rope. 50 feet of silk rope. A lucky charm, such as a rabbit's foot or a small stone. You know what? So perhaps I have... Can I have a bunny folk foot? Maybe he was a sailing friend of mine that I lost at sea, and I'm hanging on to it in remembrance of him.
I love
like
that.
Maybe someday we can resurrect him if I get the money. Right?
Oh yeah, hey, that could
There's
be a good
motivation, right, to being in Bartholomew's Adventuring Company to get the money to bring your friend back.
That is. Oh, I love it. And look, just a random like trinket, right? So yeah, so I have a bunny foot, a bunny folk foot that I carry with me, and you know what? That could very well, if I ever play with a bunny folk, that would probably rub them the wrong way, but maybe with the proper story. Like, I didn't murder him, and you know, I have him. He was my friend, and we go from there.
One of my closest friends.
That's an awesome prompt.
Man, I love this character already, by the way.
Yeah, I do too. There's so much going on with him.
Floran, beautiful.
Dragon Soul Sorcerer.
A set of common clothes. As a flower, that would be very interesting if I wear clothes, because I'm effectively wearing the skin of my people. Like, you know,
well, one of the things about
flax makes linen, and I mean, what's used on ships and what's used in a lot of clothing.
Well, one of the things about Florans is an ability that they have. I don't know if you're aware of. They have the ability to grow their own clothes on their body.
Oh, all right then. And doubly so, I guess, for me, since I get some dragon scales at some point.
Indeed.
A set of common clothes and a belt pouch. Oh. Belt pouch containing 10 gold. I wonder if I kind of have some sort of like I look like a little bit like a pitcher plant. I just kind of keep things in my throat that I'll just reach down and grab, and maybe it disturbs
that's really
people.
Cool too.
Okay, so we have our 2 features of either ship's passage, and by the way, I remember I do this before class because I want to know my character's character. Who was I before I became a sorcerer, or during, or you know, what led me from there? And what we're talking about with the bunny folk foot and all this other stuff, this is exactly why I love starting with backgrounds first, because who am I before what am I? Blood Deuce, man, has anyone else pointed out just how cool a dragon flower sounds? Or something like a snapdragon or something like that? That'd be really neat. Oh, actually, snapdragons kind of have a little, like, a pitcher. Because you can actually, like, pinch their cheeks and it opens their mouths out. If you've seen them as a flower.
That's a really good idea.
That could be very interesting, Blood Deuce. Thank you for throwing that out there. So, I will float the concept of whether or not I'm a sailor or a pirate or a ship's passage or bad reputation, I think, as we develop the character more. But let's do that through my personality traits. My first one is number 1. My friends know they can rely on me no matter what. And you know what? If you die on the ship, maybe I'll cut a part of you off too so that I can bring you back someday. You can count on me to do that.
That's a promise. Even if it's not in this lifetime, one of these days.
And I enjoy sailing into new ports and making new friends over a flagon of ale. Or, I guess, beverage.
Pour directly onto your roots.
Yeah, just I pour one out for myself and those who I want to remember.
Beautiful.
My ideal is number 4, mastery. I'm a predator, and the other ships on the sea are my prey.
Oh wow!
And this is where we have an interesting. It could be a speed bump for people. You say, Matt, you have a lawful good character. How are you going to roll with an evil ideal? Well, remember that your alignment is an expression of your character. A chaotic evil character can still donate to charity. There's nothing preventing that person from doing it. But when they speak and they act, they tend to be more impulsive and they tend to be more selfish. But it doesn't mean that they can't do things that others might consider to be good. And in this case with mastery, right, I'm a predator and the other ships are my prey. I might have this out there, if I'm lawful good, so I'm more orderly and I might tend to be selfless. And if I carry this, I know that my friends can rely on me. Maybe that is, I want a seed of myself on every ship. And so, I'm leaving my legacy because I'm well, to keep it PG-13, I'm sowing my seed, wherever I go. So that maybe there could be others of me or like me that are now out there sailing who are bringing goodness and righteousness to the world. Every ship should have one of me aboard it. And so that could be an expression of mastery, where I'm not out to just sink ships or destroy them, but I am out there to leave my mark on them, even if it means planting myself or an aspect of myself aboard that ship to then serve and instill the ideals that I carry. So in that case, I guess you could say it's evil because it's selfish. I believe so highly in myself that I want others to experience it. But we're not getting into murderous territory, as, my lawful good expression may temper that a little bit. Let's see, Blood Deuce says, sounds like a pirate hunter type person to me, based on the stuff presented. That could very well be Blood Deuce. We have a couple more parts of the personality, and I think we can make that a solid deduction. My bond is number 4. In a harbor town, I have a paramour, oh my, whose eyes nearly stole me from the sea. Okay, so apparently I have a I have a person of interest in a harbor town somewhere, and
are they also a flower?
Ooh, that could
or maybe
be.
They're the dragon.
Ooh.
Oh.
That could be as well. How does this work? Have Florans and dragons really interacted before? How would a relationship like that work? I mean, biologically, let alone with, if we're involving magic, that's intrinsic to a person, as a sorcerer has. That could be a lot of fun to explore too. And of course, would the dragon be a dragon, or would the dragon be polymorphed to look like somebody or something else?
To make a pun on eyes and flowers.
Years later, a powerful Floran navy has mastery of the coast. They all harken back to the great master that once traveled. Yeah, so it's like it's the Sea of Flowers or something along those lines.
The Sea of Flowers is a great
I'm loving it.
generic name for
and
a
my
fantasy
flaw,
suite that
because
I'm going
we
to
are
take.
all flawed creatures, whether you're a plant or otherwise. My flaw is number 6. Oh, this works out so well. My pride will probably lead to my destruction.
Yeah, that seems very fitting.
I'm so
Getting
confident in
very
myself that I may end up destroying myself in the process of, well, whatever it is I'm doing.
I'm very interested to see, like, what is this character's goal now?
Farfel 13, heard a pun coming.
Oh shoot! Man, I think my.
If I could say my pun, I was going to say a pun. In a
So
harbor
if you
town.
said anything just recently, I did not catch it because I need to plug myself back in.
Oh dear.
This explains. Pete has a pun.
I have a pun. I have a pun, and I'm going to say it now. In a harbor town, I have a paramour whose iris nearly stole me from the sea.
Too?
It's a part of the eye, and it's a flower.
Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
And it looks like Maddie's just
This is
lost
why I
his
keep 2
connection
battery
here.
packs on hand.
Quickly, guys, Maddie's away. Everyone spam D&D time in the chat.
Just in case you have a backup.
10 out of 10, Pete.
And
Lance,
we're
I'm
back.
glad that you liked it.
Thank you.
Hey, Maddie.
Hey, yeah, hey, I can hear
Welcome
you
back.
again.
We have staged a coup in your absence.
Oh, it seems so, yes. This is where you guys stage a coup, never mind, he can hear again. Gotcha, yeah. Well, if you didn't do it through a musical, kind of like Scar did in Lion King, then, I mean, I can respect that. So let's see. My pride will probably lead to my destruction. Harbor Town. So I'm kind of roguish in that sense, not per the class. So I do kind of like then how it sounds with what Blooddew said. A pirate. I may sail aboard mercantile ships, but my own intentions are piratical in so much that I'm out there to spread myself to other ships. I'm out there to spread an influence that at least I believe is good, and so I'm looking to in a sense invade or in some way even take over. I may be an invasive species, or in that case I'm a morning glory. Oh my gosh!
Seems like it works really well.
I must be a morning glory, because if you ever get one of those on your property, you're never getting rid of those things. So I think a pirate works. And then, so it would come down to, in you two guys or chat, would this give me, again, with a lawful good personality, would this still give me a bad reputation because people see me as ever present or invasive? Or even, let's say that there's others like me, so maybe I have a couple other aspects of me on other ships. Have they done naughty things that have then brought myself a bad reputation? So I might be the good one. Or should I just stick to ship's passage, and and people do know me, and I can get around because I can just board most ships that would be friendly towards me.
Ship's passage seems like it would very well facilitate your kind of end goal.
Okay.
I mean, I could see it either way, right?
Yeah.
In D&D time, you can run it however you'd like. In the end, the exact mechanics may not come up super frequently.
Yeah.
But the feel of it, right, is kind of the which aesthetic of character you're going for. One that's more darker or more friendly, I guess. Right?
Hmm.
And that's a hard question.
Yeah, this is a tough one here.
Yeah. I'm getting the more kind of friendly vibe personally, just because the things like, your friends know they can rely on you. You like going into new ports. Like Ship's Passage feels like it makes a lot of sense for me.
Yep, I like it. I'm going to stick with it then. Ship's Passage it is. And so now, I mean, look, I don't have any stats on my sheet, everyone. And have we already explored this character? Like, do we really have a good idea of who this character is and what she's capable of doing? I'd say yes. And there's really no math to be done. I mean, we got to go in. We're going to have to drop our Hemi into our chassis here. But just by doing this exercise, we have a character concept in mind, and we can imagine her sailing. You know, we can imagine, you know, the petals blowing, or the wind blowing through her petals. Or, you know, if she goes up into the crow's nest and she just sort of, you know, she treats it like a flower pot, you know, just right on top of the mast there. Let's see. Reflected said, "Oh, Flower, aren't you already supposed to be on? Get on, bring your friends. They mistake you for the flower on their ship." Yeah, or yeah, it could even be taken that way too. You know, maybe there are a couple of us. Or, if I want to go deep with this, I mean, as much as I can in the format, am I the original, or am I just a cast off? And I think that I'm an original, but maybe all the others do too. So who's the real me? Maybe most ships keep a flower for some reason. Yeah, that. Oh well, if I can, am I the one that produces food?
Yeah, you can make.
Yeah,
food.
you can photosynthesize.
In that case, then I mean, I keep scurvy away. You know, I can produce some vitamin C for people.
Yeah, you can make fruit and spices, Matt.
Oh, all the better.
Spices
So yeah,
too.
the crow's nest is a little potted plant right at the top. I go up in the wind, in the sun, and you know I'm flowing back and forth, and I'm just up there shimmying and shaking, and I'm growing some food for at least the VIPs on the ship, depending on how many people are up there.
This is some beautiful lore now. I am seeing this, and it's amazing. This is how lore enters into D&D time, by the way.
Yeah, this is basically
players come up with amazing concepts, and it just becomes part of the world.
Yeah, just slowly kind of osmoses into the world until it's true.
All right, now I want to go and I want to put my racial features onto my character. I know who I am now. Now, what am I here? Known for bright colors and flowing flowery petals, blossomers can be amongst the most personable subtype of Floran. Free-spirited wanderers from the forest, most blossomers are naturally in tune with the gentle and innocent aspects of nature. Well, I think we have our own fluff. We could use this as a guideline, but we've developed at least this singular character, even if she's an outlier amongst the others. Let's see, our charisma score increases by 1. Oh, but this is Blossomer. I got to go back to Floran as my base first.
Constitution +2 for
Constitution.
Starters.
Got it. Actually, I'm gonna put that 2 here. Alignment. We have that. Speed is 30 feet, so I'm gonna put that on the sheet. Flower power is going to let us know the Druidcraft cantrip, and you may use this cantrip to grow small quantities of fruit and spices. So I'm going to come down to my page 3, and under cantrips, I'm going to put flower power, Druidcraft. That way I know where I got this this cantrip from. Regrowth. Over the course of a long rest, you may choose to spend 1 hit die to regrow a missing limb or grow simple natural clothing. Okay, then. That is going to go here. Regrowth. Languages. You can speak, read, and write Common and Sylvan. And now we get to our sub-race of Blossomer. And that's Charisma +1.
Which works well for the Sorcerer.
Oh, it does, actually. It does indeed. We have our age.
Or fate.
Photosynthesis. She was meant to be.
High up on the crow's nest, open seas, open sun.
And I'd probably have to be high up because I mean maybe saltwater doesn't get along with me. You know, I have to be freshwater, so I don't mind being on the sea. I just can't really be sprayed a lot. You have advantage on your dex stealth checks to hide in or near natural foliage. So that is natural form.
And I like the fact we did put foliage. So it's anything, right? It might be seaweed on rocks, or
on the leaves of a tree.
Side of the ship. Yeah.
Thorns and petals. You know the Thorn Whip cantrip. Once you reach level 3, you can cast the Charmed Person. Okay. Oh, so I am a magic caster. So instead of that, for that, I'm going to come down to page 3 again, and from Thorns and Petals, I'm going to know. I was about to call it Vine Whip. I've been playing too much Pokemon or something, I guess. Then.
Got Pokemon on the mind. I mean, everyone does right now.
Bulbasaur.
Yep. Hey, yeah, we're just you're talking about that when you're answering questions.
Out of curiosity, Matty, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or Charmander to distract for a brief moment.
I didn't play in Gen 1. Gen 4 was my first Pokemon game.
Really?
So that said, I don't have nostalgia really clouding me. So going off of things like design or functionality, I really like Blastoise. So Squirtle, and be a part of the Squirtle squad. Get those nice glasses.
Fair enough. I mean, it's a strong. They're all good picks. You can't really go wrong.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can fault you for that.
And then I will add my spells later on once I reach 3rd and 5th level, since I only have the cantrip for right now. Very well. That is my race, and now let's gen up a 1st level sorcerer real quick. Boop-a-doo. So once again, class, open your PHBs. We are on page 99 for sorcerer. My proficiency bonus is +2. I have no sorcery points yet, but I do know 4 cantrips. So I'm going to come down to page 3. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Apparently that's how many bites it takes to get to the center. And I will
roll center of the Tootsie Pop.
and I will know 2 spells, and so I'm going to indicate level 1 and level 1 is where I learn these spells. Our hit points, sorcerers are squishy. I have a D6, so I'm sitting on 1d6 hit dice as I'm level 1. And I'll get to my hit points once we drop our engine into our chassis here. No armor proficiencies, and we get some different... No armor. Weapons, though. Daggers. Darts. Whoop. Quarterstaffs. And light crossbows. Heck, maybe my quarterstaff was like my last incarnation's body, kind of dried out and just sort of...
Oh, man. That sounds brutal.
I'm wielding it with a lot of experience.
I can definitely see that also being cool for a lumberling if you're going to play one of the tree people. You just break off one of your own branches.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because you can just regenerate it, right? You just go, yeah. You have a club or a quarterstaff handy.
Yeah, it's just your right arm.
Constitution and Charisma are my proficient saves. Ooh, okay. Arcana, Deception, Insight, Intimidation, Persuasion, and Religion. I get to choose 2. Now, how I like doing this is to look at my character's personality. Like, what's the fluff? What have we really gotten into that would have led to my character being proficient in these skills?
Well, we said crow's nest, so perception.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
It was Persuasion that was available, but Perception came with Sailor, so that's sort of it comes along with it. But Persuasion can work, right? If my friends know they can rely on me, how does that happen? I would convince them, hey, you need me on your ship, or I got your back, or let me dry out a body part of yours, and maybe someday I can bring you back. That might take some persuasion. Let's see.
In thinking about the deception skill, I'm curious about how forthright you are with people about what you're doing on their ships, like kind of implanting yourselves on them. Is that something that your character, you think you would just be honest about and tell everyone, like, oh yes, well, I'm spreading my seed onto your ships and all throughout the ocean, or is that just kind of a secret goal of yours?
Ooh. Maybe it's not. It's a secret from everyone else. But if I have this, so if I have draconic blood, maybe I wasn't born as such. But if I do have a lover and a port, and I'm keeping this PG-13, and I will in your channel as well. But let's say that when I visit my paramour, that's actually what imbues me with the ability to propagate myself. And maybe it's our plan that we want these sort of hybrid, dragon Florans to spread throughout. And so it's our plan. We're not telling other people because due to the unique physiology or whatever, the biology or the genetics, we tend to look like each other. And so, and everyone in D&D Time's world would know, oh, Florans just sort of like reincarnate themselves. I could be a reincarnation.
Hey!
Yeah.
Hurts.
Oh, I love it.
That was almost as bad as Pete's iris pun.
Oh, my iris pun was top notch.
And hey, if I'm taking deception, and I kind of like deception now, chrysanthemum's the word. All right, so deception it is.
Don't open up the floodgates, Maddie. You don't want to fight this battle.
It's in
People
my
win.
nature. Let's see, a light crossbow and 20 bolts or any simple weapon. I kind of like the light crossbow because I can just make the bolts out of myself, and those would be really good for just kind of popping one of myself over onto another ship.
Look, it's a warning shot, but actually...
A component pouch or an arcane focus.
Component pouch arcane focus, that's interesting. I guess most components, right? What are the components for your spells? Because if they're all things you can grow, a component pouch would be really cool.
Yeah, that would feel really natural.
Yeah.
And cool.
Well, I mean, some of it depending on the spells, and I don't even mind sort of
Yeah.
self-constricting myself to going with things that I can grow naturally, or I could even say something like the arcane focus is my friend's foot. That's my lucky charm. That's what allows me to cast. I wiggle his foot around and magic happens because I have such a sentimental bond. And what is a sorcerer but someone who, through themselves, it's their emotion, right? I'm an X-Man. I have mutant powers where I just project myself and manifest in several ways. And so if I'm projecting my emotion or my thought, and I feel very strongly about my friend's foot that I carry, would you allow that to be my arcane focus?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Just to kind of point out how loosey-goosey we are with that kind of stuff in
Okay.
D&D Time, one thing that we allow people to do is if they want to play something that doesn't exist in the land of D&D Time, they can take an existing race and put any skin on it they want. We have people playing, for example, we have one player that is a Warforged, which Warforged aren't kind of a already playable thing in D&D Time, but he just plays a Warforged, and he uses the dwarf stat block because it's the closest thing he could find to a Warforged.
Oh, okay.
So you can do anything you want in terms of reskinning something. Reskinning an arcane focus is small potatoes on that, absolutely.
I guess I'm kind of literally doing that. I took my friend's foot and I skinned it into a...
Oh, God.
Yes, you're playing into my hands. The puns are real. Remember, everyone, don't let your memes be dreams.
But it's okay to let your dreams be memes.
So I have my cantrips, spell slots. I have two. I forgot to put that down. I can cast spells twice. And then Sorceress Origin. Draconic Bloodline is... At first level, choose one type of dragon as your ancestor. Ooh, I get to roll a d10. And I'm going to find out maybe who my lover is. Who is providing me with this. So almost in a way, I'm a sorcerer, but it's almost like a low-key like warlock setup. It's just it's more biological then instead of like spiritual or sort of like soul, like a compact between souls.
And kind of in the Draconic ancestry, it makes a lot of sense that if you have this Draconic ancestry, that you would not be the first in your chain.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. I like that. All right, well, let's roll a d10 and figure out who my lover is then. And is it even mine? Or is it all of ours? I don't know, it might be some...
Uh-oh.
3. 1, 2, 3, a brass. Oh, the brass on this guy here. All right, so I have...
that's such an opposites attract thing there, too. The fire on the Floran.
Dragon Ancestor. Hey,
yeah,
I'll be fireproof as a flower. I'm fine with that. Well, not proof, but I have Draconic Resilience here.
You've shored up your weakness. You've become like a superior life form.
Oh no.
From just an adaptation standpoint, flowers that can't burn are better flowers.
More effective flower.
As magic flows through your body, it causes physical traits of your dragon ancestors to emerge. At first level, your hit point maximum increases by 1 and increases by 1. Okay, yep, that's right. I do get that. Additionally, parts of your skin are covered by a thin sheen of dragon-like scales, and so I get that natural armor as well. Excellent. And that is what I get. So now I really just have to drop the scores into my character and pick 4 cantrips and 2 level 1 spells, and bada boom, this character is born. That said, I mean, I know the standard array. For all of you who've been watching, and I mean this would include you two guys, and thank you again for staying up a little late with me.
Thanks for having us.
What would this character? What name? She is no longer a set of stats. She's earned a name. She's manifested. Her roots are set in D&D Time soil. What kind of a name jumps out at you? What would she be called? And would it be her like pirate name, or would it be her real name, or is she, let's say she's Snapdragon, but is she Snapdragon or she's Snapdragon number 23? Because that's how she's fine being counted. Maybe she does realize she's number 23.
That's an interesting one. Are we going with the name Snapdragon?
Well, I was also thinking in terms of kind of pirate name. I feel like that would fit very nicely for when players move from story to fable tier. Mm-hmm. They get to take a title, and that would fit really nicely. For a title
okay.
Your pirate name is. Yeah, that's one of the player rewards when you get to fable tier. Is you become fabled, and people know you by your adventuring title. But in terms of a name, no, Maddie, can I throw a recommendation out at you? When I need to make a name, since we're doing it for Pete and Jerry's D&D time, mm-hmm. and you've already gone so heavy on random generation. Okay. Me and Jeremy kind of have a tradition that we've done a lot, where we randomly generate our names.
Oh, all right. And do you want me to do so? Is there a tried and true method you use, or do you want me to?
I actually have a very tried and true method. You roll yourself a D8 plus 2 for number of letters, and then you flip a coin for each of those letters for consonant or vowel. Oh. And then you, if it's a consonant, roll a D6, including Y, for which vowel it is. And if it's if it's a consonant, you roll a D20 for which consonant it is. And if it's a vowel, you roll a D6.
Okay, I don't have a coin handy, unfortunately. But I guess I could just do odds and evens. So, okay. So first up, you said a D8 plus 2.
Yes. So that way we.
All right.
That way we get at least 3 letters minimum.
All right. So it's going to be a 6. There we go. I have 6 letters, and then I'm sorry. What's my next step? If you can take
flip
me
a
through
coin
this.
for each. So roll odds or evens on each for vowel or consonant.
Sure. Okay. I'll roll a. So if it's odds, it'll be a vowel. Evens, so it's a consonant.
Okay, so you got a consonant.
And I'll put a C for that. And I'm doing that for my next one. Then can be another consonant, or it has to be a vowel.
Nope. It can just be. It's just whatever fate gives you.
Okay. This is gonna be a vowel.
Oh, really? You're looking good with it.
Then
that's a strong start.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
The rough ones are the ones where you get kind of just like a 5 consonant and then 1 vowel at the end name.
Oh, another consonant. And another vowel. And then lastly, evens is a consonant.
Wow, that's a really
good layout you got yourself.
CCVC. I could be a palindrome.
I've gotten that would be miraculous. And then for those consonants, roll yourself a D20.
Alrighty. 20.
Oh, Z.
Yep.
That's an easy one.
All right. Next consonant. 18. X.
W.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah.
Because
Oh,
Y
Y.
counts as a
Y.
vowel.
Yep. I'm going to make this a lowercase just so I'm not putting accidental... All right. Next one is going to be 19. Oh, my.
Oh, X. Oh, no.
And lastly, 12.
P.
B, C, D,
P.
F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, P. Wait, yeah, that was correct, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yep, we
Okay.
both got P2.
All right, and then for vowels, it was a D6, you said?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's A-E-I-O-U-Y.
All right, first up,
A-E-I-O-U-Y. Yeah.
2.
E.
And the second one, I.
Zewxip.
Zewxip.
Now, if your name is utterly unusable, you do have the option to rearrange it. But this is what you have.
This is one of the better ones I've seen, unrefined. but you
I
can
am
take the
happy.
rearrange option.
I you know what? If you're gonna embrace the randomness, if with character generation, embrace it, and not just embrace it, but own it, and then rock it. So Zewxip is an extremely appropriate name.
It actually, I can kind of feel it.
Okay.
I actually like that name.
What if we changed the X to be pronounced like a sh sound, like in Chinese? So
Zewxip.
you're Zewxip.
Zewxip. I'm fine with that
That's
too.
another option.
Zewxip.
It's coming up with creative ways to make these good names. That is where the fun comes in.
You could also do Zewxip. You could do kind of a Zewxip kind of thing where you get that sound.
and let's face it, I'm sailing. There's a bunch of sailors around me, and it's probably going to get pronounced all sorts of ways by all different races and languages. And you know what? Maybe my name. We could even role play it that I might not even remember what my name was, but over time, this is just what I guess the commonality between the languages just called me after a while, and everyone calls me that, and it seems like most sailors can pronounce it. Is it some sort of a happy median between, you know, Elvish, Orcish, Common, and all that too? There's a lot of different ways that we can take this and still have it be meaningful and flavorful, and not just like we're not just papering over it. Because I love the name.
I also like the name.
I like it too.
I love this terrible... Dude,
We've gotten some great names.
The all consonants name is the best.
Some
Making
of my
that
worst
work
ones.
is amazing.
Some of my worst ones. I had IBBKBOO, which was Ibkaboo. I've had Risegir, and I've had my favorite one, and this was a forced rearrange because I think the original name was something like was the original name, but he became Bapadip.
Bapadip Bipidop.
And I made his last name Bipidop, so he was Bapadip Bipidop.
Beautiful.
But yeah, this is how we make our names back in the old days.
Now I gotta determine. I think charisma should be my highest. I'm a sorcerer, but not just for that. I mean that's easy mode. But why is my charisma high also? Well, because of how I express myself through my skills, through my background and such, and I think that makes sense. Having a high dexterity, I think, is going to be important, and a high wisdom, especially if I'm trying to be on lookout. 15, 14, 13. I would like some hit points. 12.
And you get
10.
that +2 con too.
And
It's always nice when you the +2 con's a great one because that's just so versatile. Everyone likes that con bonus.
Yeah. So by distributing things through the standard array, that is going to give my charisma a 16, and that is going to give my constitution a 14. So I'll be sitting on a 10 strength, 14 dex, 14 con, 8 int. So I mean, she's not the brightest petal on the stalk here. 13 wisdom and 16 charisma. That'll make for an being perceptive and having that floating, that odd number in wisdom is just like, but
it always hurts.
It does, but it's completely doable.
You got to take well, we can't in D&D time. I was gonna say I always just I'll go out of my way to take a feat just so I can that has like a +1 to wisdom, so all my scores will be even.
And I don't want everyone to forget too, having in strength, if you just throw an odd number in strength, you receive a mechanical benefit by your push, pull, drag, and all that is based off your score. So if you ever do have an odd number, throw it into strength because you can still get something mechanical from it.
And despite being a randomly generated character, this is a very mechanically viable character.
Yeah.
And they came out very good.
Yeah, 14 in con, 14 in dex, with the Dragonborn abilities, and then the full, as high as he can be at level 1 in charisma there. That's a nice looking character sheet you got going.
Absolutely beautiful.
I'm digging it, and you know what? When things cycle around, now obviously not this Friday because I won't be around her broadcasting, but when I get the chance to roll her, I look forward to it. And I don't know if I have any sort of voice changing or modulation software. That might be interesting if I can find something, but I will still make sure to put on a really good performance here.
I cannot wait.
It's interesting you mentioned the voice modulation software, right? Because that's something that is very popular for some folks and not so popular for others. And it's I guess the way I see it, right? Being someone who has no shame, it is no difficulty for me to just try and do some kind of ridiculous voice.
Yes.
But, for everyone else, it's you don't need to use voice modulation software if you don't really feel comfortable trying to do it yourself. It's the kind of thing where, do whatever's most comfortable for, obviously, you're a Twitch streamer, you've got some oomph, but for everyone else, be cool. Do what feels good to you, what feels right. There's no need to step way too crazy. I mean, you're playing in a streamed game already. You're already stepping outside most people's comfort zone.
Indeed.
No need to
follow your heart.
Push yourself too hard. And if you feel like you want to do stuff later, you can always start using a voice, right? Nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong. If one day you decide, I want to give my guy a voice, no one's gonna be like, well, you did not have a voice from the beginning. So you are banned forever.
Yep, get out of here. We'll resurrect you if you die in between sessions, but changing your voice, nada.
Unacceptable.
Hit points. So I get 1 from a sorcerer. At first level, you get your maximum of your hit die, so that's 6. And then I have a Constitution modifier of 2. So she is rocking 9 fat hit points right up here.
It's a beefy caster.
Yeah, and with a nice armor class of 15, right? You get that natural 13.
Wait,
plus,
I actually think you're at 10.
Plus 2 dex, huh?
I think you're at 10 HP. Because hit dice D8 plus 2.
6 for a sorcerer.
Oh, I'm just a dummy.
Pete.
So yeah, hey, just with me flapping in the breeze, figuratively and literally, I'm sitting on a 15 AC.
Get tough.
Yeah.
Fighting off those winds.
I feel so ashamed that I didn't know what the sorcerer hit dice was.
It's okay, Pete. I think we can forgive you this time. I guess.
I'm very sad. If anyone can see me right now, I do have a legitimately very sad look on my face just sitting in front of my computer.
Let's see. Clubs. Daggers, darts, quarterstaffs. Phew, I'm not even proficient with my own club. So I guess I carry it around as just sort of like a waggling stick here. Or actually use a belaying pin as a belaying pin and not really as a weapon. So I don't have proficiency. So it's going to be a +0 to hit with that. My light crossbow, however, is going to be rocking a +4. Oh, yeah. And my daggers with finesse is going to be a +4 also. 1d4.
Got something to say about finesse there, Matty?
What's that?
Got something to say about finesse there?
Look, just because dexterity is hands down the best stat in 5th ed doesn't mean,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Clubs are D4s? D6s?
They're D4s.
D4s, okay.
Now watch me be wrong, but
All right, class, open your PHBs. Let's go to Chapter 5 Equipment and go to Simple Weapons and look for Club. It's alphabetized. It is 1d4 bludgeoning.
Haha, I'm a genius.
SMRT.
I am so smart. SMRT.
Passive Perception 13. And, bada boom, we dropped a Hemi in this character here. And now it's really just time to
a couple spells, yeah.
Yeah, a couple spells. I mean, obviously I can fill in details and maybe I can commission one of my artists to come up with a drawing concept for this character. So I have
them posted for our fan art on our website as well, if they do, so we can get
beautiful.
Yes.
Charisma, spell save, I'm rocking a 3 charisma. So that's 8, plus proficiency, plus ability is 13, plus 5 to hit with my spells. Is that Dr. Zill, or is that sort of like a drill? Still all the same, thank you very much for that follow, I appreciate it, and I hope you're having fun conceptualizing this character, learning about D&D time, and if you're new to D&D, learning how to make a level 1 character. And for as much as we've talked and had fun, making a level 1 character is what takes the longest, but whenever you get to level up, it's like 5 minutes per level. It's not that difficult at all to do.
Oh, yeah.
Well, exactly, and the thing about making a level 1 character like this, right? This is an incredibly, rich character with a great backstory. And if you, feel comfortable with taking the time to do that, awesome. You're going to have an amazing time. But even, you could just roll up a character and you're like, all right, my background is blacksmith, I'm a blacksmith. And now I'm adventuring, right? You don't have to go all that depth. We encourage it because, I think it'll be a lot more fun in the long run. I know you guys both agree. But,
yeah, for sure.
It's all about that level of comfort where people are at.
Let's see. Oh, I forgot that I learned Draconic also by having a Draconic ancestor. In this case, maybe a Draconic ancestor if I'm actually the spawn of the dragon in the original me. But if nothing else, like a dragon patron, ancestor, dragon lover, or something along those lines. I'm gonna make sure I didn't. All right, so I'm gonna be more. I will be more fire affinity. I think that was brought up earlier that I'm a fire flower. Sort of a nice Mario reference here. So with that,
I didn't even think about that.
I should probably take Firebolt.
Makes
very
sense.
very dangerous on a ship, but that's also what can make me dangerous to have on a ship if I'm defending it from other ships. If I can shoot fire, then what else would I take? I don't have dark vision as a Floran, do I?
Message seems like something that might be useful as a sailor. Up in the crow's nest, giving out kind of knowledge and stuff. Even amidst a storm, you can just talk straight to their minds.
Message, Firebolt.
I see the chat is getting at me about rolling for hit dice again. Guys, we don't roll for hit dice.
I'm pretty sure that we roll for hit dice.
Pete, don't you propagate false information here. Peter, how could you betray me?
We do
what else
not
my personality?
roll.
Friends know they can rely on me. Well, there's a spell called Friends. I enjoy sailing to new ports and making new friends.
That's
I think
a
I'm
different
taking
kind of
Friends. Harbor Town, I have a paramour, and my pride will probably lead to my destruction. Friends for sure, and then maybe.
Do you only use the player's handbook spells?
What's that?
Do you only use the original player's handbook spells?
For most of what we do, I mean, if we're doing a thematic character creation or a thematic campaign, then I'll have another book open.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm primarily sticking to that now. What do you have in mind?
Oh, well, the spell I was thinking of was the elemental evil cantrip Gust. Feels very kind of high seasy to me.
Oh,
but
does that Is that kind of
Lets you
like
just
how you
create
can use a
little
Qual's Feather token to fill a sail with wind?
Yeah, it kind of like creates little puffs of wind and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's like a baby Qual Feather token.
Yeah, baby Qual's Feather token, not quite as powerful as that, but
Okay. Then I'll take Gust. It's open, and I'm fine. I'm already open to the realm of. Now, I mean, considering every option in a random, I don't have that constructed yet, but I'm fine taking Gust because I can help out. Plus, if nothing else, it makes me kind of just sway naturally up in the crow's nest if I need a little help.
oh, that's cool.
And then finally, I get level 1 spells. I get 2 of them. Burning Hands, Charm Person, Chromatic Orb, Color Spray, Comp Language, Detect Magic, Disguise Self, Expeditious Retreat, False Life, Feather Fall, Fog Cloud, Jump. I kind of like Burning Hands, especially if I'm a Fire Flower.
Yeah, it builds into the fire motif.
And probably Charm Person.
You actually already get Charm Person at level 3. From being a Floran.
Oh, that's right. For the thorns and petals. That's true. All right, so I will just have to grow into it then. In that
take it and then
case,
switch it once you get to level 3.
Yeah, that's totally an option.
oh, roleplay wise, then maybe that's how I ended up sort of like ingraining it into myself. I cast it,
Yeah.
right? Especially because my magic is me. I project my magic through my charm and my wit. Yeah, that's fine. Burning Hands and Charm Person. I'm happy with that. I don't see her as the type of person who'd take Disguise Self. She's proud of who she is. She's a Floran. She's this blossomer. She wants to be on all these ships. She's happy in whatever kind of relationship she has with this paramour in port. She's very happy with it, apparently. As it's propagating her in this kind of odd, like quasi-warlock sort of thing that they have going.
Yeah.
The relationship status is it's complicated. So yeah, she wouldn't want to change who she is. Comp language, she knows 3. She knows Sylvan, Draconic, and Common. That's pretty good. She could probably cuss like a sailor too. She's heard so many other things. I think I'm happy with this. I mean, Mage Armor would just be redundant with the scales or whatever that she grows out of herself.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're good. I think we have a functional
that's Zewxip.
character. Zewxip or Zewxip?
Zewxip.
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 Doopa-doop.
Zip zop doobity
I'm the scat man.
Yes. You got it.
Now, if you wanted, you could be Zewxip.
That's a good one,
Oh
too.
yeah. Oh,
Make
so
it-
2 syllables separated between the X and the I there. Zewxip.
The great thing is figuring out where you can put apostrophes to really make it crazy. In my opinion.
Zewxip.
But yeah, I think this is great. I mean, at this point, you've totally built out a character, fleshed her out, rather. I mean, the only step now is just to log into Roll20 and build them up.
Yep. Get her done.
I mean, that's just a matter of literally copying the information here onto there.
Yep.
And Roll20 is back up now.
Hey, they fixed Roll20.
Oh, wait.
Oh, was it down earlier?
Yes, it was
Yeah,
a little while ago.
Oh.
Wait, it's back down again.
Coming live from the
Roll
trenches.
20.
Pete, what's the word on the street regarding Roll20?
Gold is buy gold.
It's crashing. It's crashing.
Oh wait, it's back up again.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait until
it's a wild ride here, folks.
wait until the smoke clears. See how Roll20 is fared.
All right, well, gentlemen, I thank you very much for being here, for sharing the history of the world that you've created with your community, and I'm glad that especially Thanksgiving is a time of coming together, of sharing with friends and family and giving thanks, and so for anyone who's new here, I mean that's what's been going on tonight. We're all getting together at a Thanksgiving table and generating characters as a lovely nerdy family should.
Amen.
and I very much appreciate your time here with me, and I appreciate the things that you do for the community in your own ways, Pete and Jeremy. I'm really happy to have gotten to know you, and I see Mr. Plunderloot over here, who I think is the mutual friend who hooked us up. as the go-between.
Plunder. Much love to Plunder.
May your loot be bountiful? Yeah.
May your plunder be looty.
There we go.
All right, then, you know what, I think a good way, I will end up raiding someone, but while I have you here, at least before I get into that, I know you two have a tradition where you try and sync up, your closing. No. And so maybe what we can try and do is, I'll say, I'm Matt, and then you can go through your own, and then, sort of on a 3, 2, 1, and then we'll say, and this was Matty Morgs. Maybe we can try it here and see how well it goes.
I imagine it will go at least as good as it goes for us.
Sure. All right, then we'll close it out. Everyone, thank you. Stick around for a little bit here, and we're gonna find someone else to raid. Probably broadcasting D&D or something else fun. We'll go liven up their evening, give them some chat activity and views, and especially if it's someone in our own community. But I'm Matt.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Jeremy.
And this is Matty
Morgs. Good night.
That darn delay. I think we were totally synced, but the internet just sort of derped out. Oh, that delay. Boo.